Now that we are at war, FDR had a plan. He knew we were going to get pulled into this war eventually, just like Hitler knew we were going to get pulled in this war eventually. And he had done some things to prepare for it, and he knew that really Europe couldn't do it without us. So the army was preparing. Um, FDR signed something called the Selective Training and Service Act. This is the draft, which required all males between the ages of 21 and 36 to register for the draft or face a penalty. And he was creating a very diverse army that included about 1 million African Americans, 300,000 Mexican Americans joined up, 25,000 Native Americans joined up. Most of them were in the Marines, and most of them were speaking back and forth in code because the Japanese could not understand Native American languages. Nobody outside America could. And about 350,000 women, a lot of them in support roles, but there were a lot of women pilots, you'll see when we go on our field trip later on in the next unit. Remember, FDR created the New Deal, and he loved to create government branches that had acronyms, and so the WPB was created, the War Production Board, and that helped to make peacetime industries like car manufacturers into wartime industries like tank manufacturers, or companies that made buses now were making planes, or companies that made refrigerators were now making rifles. So it helped transition a peacetime economy into a war economy, and the Office of War Mobilization was sort of an agency that looked over a bunch of other agencies to centralize all the resources the government needed to fight the war in one place. During the war, in 1944, America produced about twice as many military goods as all of our enemies together. That's how good we were at producing things. That's how effective our workforce and factories were, and that's one of the reasons we were able to do this, is because we had all the resources we needed in the country. We didn't have to import very much to do this. Unemployment shrank because we were filling up the factories with people who needed jobs, and we were filling up the army with people who needed jobs. Union membership rose because factories were where unions were. The government spent about $321 billion. Taxes went up. People didn't mind. The deficit went up. People didn't mind. We began having war bond drives again. People began to invest in the government to pay for the war. People began to do things like carpool, like this poster here says. The problem was the national debt greatly increased, but people were willing to accept a national debt because we needed money to pay for the war. Give you some idea of some posters. This is a great one. It shows the Japanese and the Germans that our homes are in danger now. Private Joe Louis was the heavyweight champion of the world at the time, and they used him to get people to sign up. They also tried to sell the story about how great everybody was getting along in the military and on the factory floor for the effort, which is like this one, a Union poster. This is one about joining the Navy. This is probably the most iconic Rosie the Riveter, the most iconic poster of World War II, telling women that you can work in the factory and you can do it. This is one that says, buy war bonds. These men need help, so buy war bonds. These guys whose ship has been blown up. December 7th is the day that Pearl Harbor was bombed. So this is a poster remembering Pearl Harbor and getting you to join up. This is a poster that names all the marine islands and battles that were taking place against Japan in the Pacific Ocean region. It's one for women to join up to be nurses. There's a good one that says, should brave men die so you can drive? Conserve gasoline, because men are shipping that gasoline and we should ship it overseas instead of here. And should people die just because you want gas? This is a great one. Finished? Hell no. Trying to get these ships back into shape so we can go out and beat the enemy. Let's look at more of these in just a second.